The mission of Media Texas Charities is to annually raise and distribute funds to community service agencies who provide direct assistance and support to the hungry, the homeless, and the needy population across the entire Rio Grande Valley. The goal of the Charities campaign is to aid not just a few individuals and a few families, but to impact and provide direct support and assistance to literally hundreds and thousands annually through our collective efforts. And thereby, we intend to significantly impact families, many of our own neighbors, and certainly the communities across the four-county area. Our campaign will impact Cameron County, Hidalgo County, Starr County, and Willacy County. At Media Texas, we recognize and we see very regularly the needs in the community, oftentimes very dire needs, because among other reasons, we're out there covering and reporting these local stories in our communities each and every week. We also believe it's very important for us as a business, Media Texas, to give back to our communities and to the areas in which we're fortunate enough to conduct our own business and to publish our newspapers and websites. As a result, we believe we are really very uniquely positioned to introduce this campaign across the valley and to bring help, support, and assistance to the hundreds and thousands of people in our own local home areas who are in need. We also know from our own personal experience that the most effective and efficient way to serve the hungry, homeless, and needy in our local communities is to do so by providing support directly to those social service organizations, these 15 organizations, that in turn serve directly those people in need. So while it's important to note that our beneficiary agencies do not need to be United Way agencies necessarily, we are very pleased at this annual campaign to announce that we're holding it in conjunction with all 3 United Way agencies across the valley. So that obviously includes the United Way of South Texas in McAllen, the United Way of Northern Cameron County in Harlingen, and of course here in Brownsville, the United Way of Southern Cameron County. And with us this afternoon, representing the Southern Cameron County United Way, is Lynette Benavides, if I'm not mistaken. Lynette, thank you for joining us. Be sure to tell Tracy we said hello. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the way the process worked is really very simple. Following a series of discussions with representatives from all 3 United Way organizations, we began a process in which the social service agencies for both the Upper and Lower Valley were identified. We invited them to submit formal applications. And in turn, we then vetted each and every one of the agencies, reviewed their financial information, reviewed their board structure, reviewed their recent history. This was all done and vetted by an ad hoc review committee. Media Texas' commitment to the campaign, our commitment to the campaign, is really twofold. First, we will lead and support over the next 10 weeks by a very concerted and very visible print and online efforts that you will see in the Brownsville Herald, you'll see it in El Nuevo Heraldo, you'll see it in El Extra, you'll see it in the McAllen Monitor, in the Valley Morning Star, in the Coastal Current on the island, and in the Mid-Valley Town Crier. I'm willing to bet you that virtually everyone or anyone living in the valley will very quickly here in the very next few days, certainly over the next 10 weeks, become very much aware of our campaign. And more importantly, perhaps, we're going to give everyone the opportunity to consider their own individual donations, be they individuals or businesses, be those donations large or small, to support our collective efforts. The second commitment on the part of AIM is maybe equally important, and that is we are covering 100%, we are covering literally all of the administrative expenses of the campaign, so that 100% of all the donations, again, from any individual or business, large or small, will go directly to the 15 beneficiary organizations for use in providing their services directly to those people in need. So before I introduce the inaugural group of 15 beneficiary agencies, I would like to share with you some very exciting news about the extraordinary and generous lead gifts we have already received prior to today's launch event. As of this morning, we've received exactly $68,550 from what we're calling our Premier Lead Donors, which is a category of $10,000 and above, and from our Lead Donors, which is a category of $5,000 and above. And these donors include Plains Capital Bank, and Raul Villanueva is here with us today. Thank you. It includes a Clark Knapp Honda, Clark Chevrolet, Edwards Abstract, Vantage Bank, who's represented by Doug Breedy. Doug, thank you for being here with us. Valley Baptist Health System. I don't think Manny Vela from Harlingen was going to be able to join us, but we just saw him in Harlingen, and he sends everyone their greetings. And Media Texas also served as a Premier Lead Donor. And we have two lead donors. The first is Wells Fargo, who is represented by Claudia Cantu Grimaldo. I just saw Claudia. Thank you for being here. I'd like to point out that Wells Fargo was our very first contributor. When we first, it's kind of a funny story, when we first presented this concept to the United Way of South Texas in McAllen, Claudia's associate, Alma Ortega Johnson, serves on their board. And after we finished our presentation, she didn't even let me out of the room before she jumped up and made a commitment to the campaign. So thank you very much. And then last but not least, my wife Nancy and I are also serving as lead donors. So at this time, I'd like to ask the Plains Capital representative, Raul Villanueva, to step forward for a very brief but surprise announcement.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Well, good afternoon, everybody. In addition to the $10,000 donation Plains Capital has committed to this great charity organization, I would like to announce that I'm proud to say that in addition to $10,000, we're donating another $10,000 for a total of $20,000. And as Plains Capital is committed to the community we serve, we'll hopefully be here next year with another donation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Raul, for that wonderful news that I have to admit we did hear a little earlier today, and for your wonderful leadership and commitment to our communities, for helping those most in need, and for setting a wonderful example for others to follow. So obviously, as a result of this exciting news from Plains Capital, our total as of this morning, before the official launch, is $78,550. You can do the math, obviously, as well as I can. So again, most importantly, I would like to ask for a quick round of applause to recognize all of our Premier Lead Donors and all of our lead donors. Now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the 15 beneficiary agencies who provide the essential services and support to the hungry, homeless, and needy across the valley on a daily basis. Literally, they are out there working 365 days a year. If you'll join me in looking at the two inside pages of the handout you received when you arrived at the meeting this afternoon, you'll see each agency listed by name and with a brief description of their mission and the work they do. And if you'll permit me, I'd love to read through each one, just the names, not the descriptions, because I think they're worthy of highlighting. So the first is Loaves and Fishes of the Rio Grande Valley, the Salvation Army of Harlingen, the Family Crisis Center, La Posada Providencia, and is Alma Gonzalez-Rock here with us? We just saw her in Harlingen, and I thought maybe she'd be joining us here in Brownsville. The Harlingen Neighborhood Food Pantry, the Snack Pack Project here in Brownsville, the Ozanam Center, and I know Sarah Drubanik is with us. Yes. Sarah, thank you. Appreciate your being here. Friendship of Women, Gloria Rincones is with us, and you'll be hearing from Gloria in a moment. The Good Neighbor Settlement House, Ruth Hunter and Oscar Masso is with us. Oscar is the board chair. Thank you for being here. The Salvation Army of McAllen, the Food Bank of the Rio Grande Valley. I know Terry Grefke is here. Silver Ribbon Community Partners, Women Together, Aurora House Foundation, and last but not least, Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. What I'd like to do now is ask Gloria, on behalf of all the service organizations, all 15, to come forward and share a few words with us.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Rincones, and I am the president for the Board of Friendship of Women. I am also a practicing attorney here in Cameron County. And one of the many things during my past has been I was a former chief of the domestic violence unit when I was in Fort Bend County, where I developed a passion to fight for victims of domestic violence, children, women, men, any victim. And so part of the mission statement for our Friendship of Women, which has been a passion of mine, and I'm very proud to tell you that I am their new president. And we work really, really hard to provide the services that this agency has worked diligently every day, every night, 24/7, to make sure that our victims of domestic violence and their families have a place to stay in their moments of crisis. You know, we do not stop and think what a victim of domestic violence goes through and their children. And so these are people that leave their home at a moment's notice with no clothes or whatever they're wearing, sometimes no shoes, and so they leave with nowhere to go other than a shelter. And so Friendship of Women, our board works very, very hard to ensure that we have the staff necessary to provide these services in this family's time of needs. I can tell you that our shelter is small. It is able to house 8 families, and we have the staff to continue the day-to-day operation of that shelter. I am sure that many of the other organizations that are very fortunate to have been blessed and receive the funds from AIM are also enduring this type of service that we have to provide. But I can tell you that these families are so grateful. We find the resources in our community to provide the legal representation that these families need, to provide them the food, the shelter, the clothing, the hospital assistance. There is so much that takes place once a family comes into the shelter, and the protection and the security and the safety of these families is foremost. And so these funds that come in, that these organizations rely on 100%, are huge blessings to these families. And so we are more than grateful to be able to be the beneficiary of this fund, because I can assure you that this organization, as well as the other 14 organizations that are receiving these funds, are putting it to good use and are making sure that the less fortunate in our community benefit from it 100%. Nothing goes unnoticed for us. I myself provide free legal representation when it's needed, and I will not hesitate to offer my services for any of our victims that are in need of that. And so I encourage everybody in our community that is there anything, any service that you personally can provide, then obviously to do so. We appreciate the generosity from all of the donors that make this possible, because it would not be possible without them. But I can guarantee you that these families would not have anywhere else to go if it wasn't for organizations like Friendship of Women, like the other organizations mentioned. And it is really sad, because you have displaced families that have nowhere to go until somebody steps up and gives them that hand. One of the main mission, our mission statement, at least for Friendship of Women, is to provide the leadership and support on family violence and sexual assault issues and a safe place for victims and their families. That safe place for victims and their families is what's paramount in for this organization. And so we make sure that these families have exactly what they need in their most difficult times. And so if it wasn't for organizations such as AIMS, we would not be able to make this possible. So from our bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for making this possible and for being able to help as many people as you're able to help through this donation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria, very much for sharing your story and for personalizing the work that you and your associates do every day, and for really all the work that all the beneficiary organizations conduct each day out in the field.